Today's event is a follow-up from the very successful first series of Evolving London, where we had about 1,000 people turn up to 5 lectures by eminent speakers. We wanted to pick that theme up and give some depth to some of the issues that were raised in that first series. GVA have been heavily involved in the issue of delivering new homes for London. We're involved in some of the biggest housing developments across London, for example Brent Cross, Canada Water and Clapham Junction redevelopment, and we have just been involved in 10 of the 27 bids received by the GLA for housing zones. So with that in mind, it's our pleasure to continue to host this Evolving London lecture series.
London's housing needs are normally defined in demographic terms, and under the Mayor's guidance they come out at between 49 and 53,000. That wouldn't stop things getting worse. You need about 63,000 on the projections if you wanted to ensure that the younger people could still form households.
We've been dealing with a shortage of housing supply, which is fundamentally at the heart of our housing problem, for about 30 years now. And what's required to address that are significant structural changes if we're to double house building in the city.
I mean, London has been growing very much more rapidly than expected. So the growth in population means that people are living at higher densities, are not able to form households, and house prices have been going up very rapidly.
I think Christine raised a number of important points in her presentation, and I think what she shows is that this is a very long-term challenge which has been in the making over a number of years, and that the solution to London's housing challenges, particularly around supply, are very complex and require a number of variables working in harmony for us to increase output to the level required, and that means new players coming into the market, it needs new products coming forward, and I think it's a really sensible way of looking at it. There's not everything in the presentation that Christine outlined is achievable, but much of it is something that clearly we need to focus on, and we need a very long-term approach around.
Well, I think the planners have done what they can within the legal framework and what London is. They have looked for everything that they can think of. They have built high in their minds, and that just about generates enough places for 53,000 units. But if you really want to meet London's needs, you would have to densify the outer suburbs, and you would have to move outside London.
So there's a number of things which are needed to double house building, and there isn't one single solution. On the public sector side, a planning framework which is enabling and ambitious, the release of public assets where they're surplus, creativity around public funding that's provided, these are essential ingredients to increasing house building, but clearly it requires the market to respond as well, and the industry to respond, whether that's increasing their own capacity, whether that's human capacity, or where they're accessing capital, so that we can meet this challenge.
There is a lot of infrastructure requirements, and the government has recognised some of these, but tends to designate rather than actually provide money for it. And the question ultimately is, if we wanted to make life a little bit more even-handed in London, we need to tax people who are above the average income. And that means putting council tax bands right the way up, not just at the 2 million point.
London, and I guess there's also kind of another question under that.
There were a number of very clear issues came out of today's discussion. There was the issue of devolution, which is clearly an agenda that's here to stay and will give the GLA and the Mayor the powers that he needs to deliver more homes. There was the issue of the capacity of the house building industry to deliver the number of homes that we need, and the importance of new entrants into the market and finding ways of encouraging those new entrants. And then there's the issue of the Green Belt. Clearly no consensus on whether the Green Belt should remain or whether we should get into the Green Belt, an issue that's going to be debated long over the next 10 years.